with that said, that's the proposed plan.
Thank you.
I'll hang, okay, great.
Thank you very much.
I'd also just like to have Ms. Rebecca Brown just provide an explanation of the curve signage that we've prepared as well. So.
Good evening. So the last time that we were here, the big item that was discussed quite a bit was the speeds coming around this curve here on Industrial Avenue, and how that relates to the site distances entering and exiting each of the two driveways, particularly for the driveway that's located to the north on Industrial Avenue. So we did take a look at this curve here to come up with some signage out there to help accentuate that curve and provide some advisory speed signs as well to help to slow people down as you're coming around that location. There is currently a sign over in this area here for that curve ahead. It does not have the speed advisory associated with it. It is pretty faded, and it's also located back into the woods and is completely covered with vegetation, so it's very hard to see. So we'd propose a new sign in about the same location that would be out away from some of that vegetation and obviously clear some of the vegetation that's currently blocking that signage as well, which would show sort of as you're coming around here, there's sort of a slight curve here and then the very sharp curve, and that's kind of the one that gets people, is that sharp curve. So the first sign would show the slight curvature of the roadway with the advisory speed sign of the 15 miles per hour. And then just after you get past that would be a secondary sign that would show that pretty much 90-degree curve in the roadway, also with the advisory speed of 15 miles per hour. And how we determined that 15 mile per hour speed was looking at the radius of this curve here that's very sharp and looking at the sight lines as you travel along that curve to make sure that you can always see far enough in front of you to be able to stop if you needed to. So this has about a 100-foot radius at the center line of the roadway, which is pretty tight coming around that corner. So based on that, AASHTO recommends a advisory speed of 15 miles per hour. One of the other issues as you're coming around this curve is that there's kind of a sea of pavement here. There is a sidewalk that's provided along the edge here, but it is also very similar in color to the roadway itself, as well as the parking lot that's here. So you can see this whole area looks about the same color, and it's very hard for a driver coming around that corner to distinguish the curvature of the roadway because of that. So what we have proposed to do is provide what are known as curve chevrons. Those are the arrows that you see as you go around the curve that will really accentuate that the road is actually curving as you pass along. So we would propose to do the same thing essentially in the opposite direction as you're coming down Industrial Avenue, approaching the curve. There would be a sign right here just before the driveway that would let you know that there's that sharp 90-degree curve. And then as you start to come out of it, there would be another sign located right here that would advise you of the less angled curve in that area. So that is essentially what we had performed since the last time. So if there's any questions, I can answer those, or if Joe, you had anything you wanted to add.
Can you just tell me what those, what about your yellow arrows to the far right there?
Yep, these yellow arrows.
Yep, okay.
Yep, so these are the curved chevrons. So those would be posted in both directions as you come around this curve here. So those start right about here and extend to about here. And it just really is there to accentuate that curve and make it clear to people that they're not supposed to just drive right off the road into the parking lot here. Because that is kind of an issue right now. Mm-hmm. People don't see the curve and they pull right over the sidewalk.
Thank you. Could you just leave that up there, if you don't mind? Thank you very much. Because I'm going to ask our traffic engineer to comment on that in a minute, so. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Oh, can you hear me? I don't know. Is my mic working? It doesn't sound like it to me. Yeah, so I had an opportunity to review, I spoke with Rebecca a couple weeks ago. I had an opportunity to review their signage plan. Is it working? Yes. Okay. Is that better? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I spoke with Ms. Brown from GPI a couple weeks ago, and I had an opportunity to review their signage plan today. I think it's acceptable. It meets MUTCD and AASHTO requirements. I would just add that, confirm that the spacing matches MUTCD. Usually the chevrons at this speed need to be 40 feet apart. I didn't have time to scale it and see if that was true. I'm sure it is. It certainly looks adequate, and I think it will greatly improve the safety of the curve and decrease speeds going around it, and then thus making the site distance acceptable for the site driveway. I would just note on their signage, it says enter and exit at both of those locations, and the site plan that I have shows that as well, so I'm not sure. It sounds like there will be just one entrance and one exit at that location, which I think is preferable. Do you see what you know what I'm mentioning? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I think it could create some conflict if you had an entrance and an exit two right next to each other, which is what is currently shown there.
And also, Natasha, last time you indicated that you would help in assisting for where they could put the Uber driver things, and
Yeah.
obviously they worked on you with putting that in place.
Yeah, we just have to coordinate with the contacts at Uber and Lyft so that they can specify in the app where they want the pickup and drop off to be.
Okay.
They have to create a geofence, and I'm happy to help facilitate that conversation.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything further from the applicant? Yeah, sure, just come to the microphone if you would, please, sir.
I just have a question on the entrance and the exit. I don't know if we can see are we referring to the exit or the opening to the parking lot down at the bottom of the picture? That's correct. That's correct. That's the correct.
Everything that I have shows both of those as exit and enter, and I'm just clarifying that this is correct.
That's the point.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, appreciate it. Okay. So anything further from the applicant this time?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody here this evening want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Any like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to the board members. Any of the board members have any questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, first of all, I'd like to thank the applicant to address the streetscape, and it really didn't take too much manipulation of the plan to address what we were looking for, so do appreciate that. I just want to clarify, because we did have a lot of different documents going back and forth, and we had a comment letter as late as dated today, but it looks like there's already been some work on some of the proposed conditions, so I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So I just, Natasha, do you have the letter, the comment letter from today?
I do.
Okay, so I just want to make sure on item number 3, so it says A, proposed conditions, that you've already worked and you're satisfied with what has been presented, is that correct?
Yeah, correct. When we were working on comments, I wasn't aware of what the final plan was, and so I was just recommending essentially what they ended up proposing.
Presenting.
Yeah. And then, and we also added the part about working with the transportation network companies in number 4.
Correct, right. So that's the next dropping down to number 4. And they indicated that, but that still has to be.
Correct. It still has to be accomplished. Yep.
And then on on, number 5, I guess, for Christine. Christine, on number 5, the applicant shall continue to work with city engineers, wastewater, DPD. So is that still outstanding, right? And then and I noticed that on the site plan where they didn't chop off the corner of the building there, so.
Yeah, we're satisfied if the site plan is updated prior to building permits.
Okay, because the interior plan accounts for it, it's just that needs to be finalized, okay. Incorporated into the site plan. And also, the changes will be made on the site plan regarding the entrance and the exit, right? Just to make sure that the site plan that we approve is what we've discussed here.
So backing up, so the last one, Mr. Bichette is talking about, when the building comes on the back, one plan said it's 12 feet wide, and the other one said it's 10 feet wide. I think it's between the rear. So obviously, it's going to be 12 all the way around, correct? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Now, did you have a chance to see the comment letter from today to the applicant? Okay. I guess question regarding the walkway. So that would be item
7.
So 7, letter E.
I can answer that.
Yeah, if you could, Christine.
It's not a proposed new walkway, it's an existing walkway, and it just was a miscommunication between the engineer and the applicant, so that should also be reflected in the new revised site plan. It should just say existing walkway.
Okay, but does the issue still then, I guess, the fact that the walkway goes right into the applicant is also proposing, so that the walkway extends across existing landscaping area at the curve, is that correct then? Sidewalk appears to conflict with, I mean, I guess that would still be an issue, though. I mean, do we see that as an issue?
Well, it's an existing walkway, and that's an existing landscaped area,
Right.
and it goes from the parking area to a sidewalk, so it is a little awkward, but I don't think it's problematic to the site.
Okay. I mean, basically what it's saying is that an individual would have to step over the landscape area to get to the walk area.
Well, you can get it from a park, I think it's awkwardly cut from, on the comment memo, but on the site, it actually connects to the parking lot. So in there, you get out of your car, get onto the walkway to the sidewalk,
Okay.
or it could be a way, I mean, it's,
Okay, so, and in essence, this was not described properly here. Is that correct? So
I
the way the
think it-
site plan,
I think the site plan we have in the office, and so if this were to be a new walkway, we would have suggested against it.
Right.
Because it is sort of awkwardly placed. You really want people from the sidewalk walking through your cars.
Right.
But it's existing, and that was a mistake, a mistaken note on the site plan. So
okay.
we don't need them to rip it out.
All right, that's fine. I mean, we previously approved it without that being an issue, so, all right. Sorry, Christine, what was that?
Sorry, I just realized I think because of the confusion, we're not recommending removing it, but I didn't mean to, the board
I understand.
can ask them
I
that, should they
understand,
wish.
right? At the end of the day, we make the final decision. And then, so I guess what was being, well, yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with the comments on 7 with the floating spaces, but I'm okay with that. I think all in all, I think, based on the revisions on the plan, I think the applicants made a good effort here to address the board's concerns. Appreciate you indulging in our wanting to try to, it's an opportunity to really kind of improve the site, even though it's actually one of the better-looking sites on that road. But it's just another opportunity to continue that, hopefully to the next property that abuts, and then we can continue that down the road. And I think internally, I think it lays out fairly well. And that's all the comments I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fischett. Anything for you, Richard?
I have no questions. I will make a comment. I think you've got a very comprehensive package here that has addressed all of our concerns, and, I'm in favor of what you have. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, Caleb?
No questions.
Okay.
I'm happy with all the effort that you guys have put into it, and also trying to be a good neighbor to to that area. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just have two comments. I know last time we were here, two of the things that we needed to be completed was, one, we needed the letter from the Lowell Police Department, and I know we've received that since, and that was outstanding. And the other question was to work with the stormwater with the city departments, and the applicant has agreed to do that. So obviously, those are two things that we're looking at the last meeting, so I'm glad that those have been satisfied. So I have no further comments on that. So we need a site plan vote and a special permit. So what's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following conditions. That the applicant continue to work with the city's transportation engineer to coordinate the transportation network with transportation network companies, e.g. Uber and Lyft, to restrict their pickup and drop-off locations within the parking lot. The applicant shall continue to work with the city engineers, wastewater, and DPD on stormwater mitigation for the site. The applicant agrees to propose additional mitigation as discussed in 10/18/19 with staff, which includes cost estimates, final approval of the site. The stormwater mitigation plan must be obtained from the city engineer, wastewater, and DPD prior to the start of any site work. And that the applicant shall submit a revised site plan that shows at least a 12-foot wide access drive in the western edge of the site between the corner of the building and the shared lot line with 30 Industrial Ave East, and that the applicant will revise the site plan to note the dedicated entrance and exits as shown, presented on the landscape rendering here this evening.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye, chair votes yes. So that motion carries for the site plan. So now we need a motion for the special permit.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for the approval of the special permit with the same conditions as.
The same conditions that were approved by the site plan?
Correct, yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, Caleb, you can second that, okay. So we have a motion by Mr. Lockhart for the special permit with the same conditions on the site plan, made by Mr. Lockhart, special by Caleb. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
I vote yes, chair votes yes, so we have 4 in favor of that. So you are approved, good luck, and thank you very much. Sure, absolutely, thank you. Thank you, sir. Have a good night. Okay, moving along on the agenda, the next matter is 677 and 705 Pawtucket Boulevard. This is a site plan review and special permit, an application by DSM Realty, Inc. to modify the previously approved project that consists of 71,000 square foot Market Basket supermarket with 12,400 square feet general retail space. The proposed revised project includes the construction of a 71,000 square foot Market Basket and the adjacent retail store of 22,000 square feet, which is an increase of 9,600 square feet of the previously approved project. In addition, the applicant is proposing to demolish the existing restaurant at 705 Pawtucket Boulevard and construct a smaller drive-through restaurant that is approximately 6,105 square feet, and it includes reconfiguration of the adjacent 134 space parking lot. The project requires site plan review under section 11.4 and special permit approval under section 12.4. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Gregory Curtis with the Law Office of Goldman and Curtis and Lowell. I'm here tonight on behalf of Demoulas Supermarkets, DSM Realty. With me is Jim Lamp from LTD Development, Eric Gerard, and Rob Nagy from VHB, do the engineering for the work. We were before you back on 9/19 at that time for the proposed enhancement of the site with a larger retail dry goods store and also the removal or the raising of the current building, which is the Boomers Restaurant, in order to make room for a potential coffee shop. I think at that time, the board was looking at different information and had some technical comments with regards to possible traffic and possible potential peer review. I haven't had a chance to talk with traffic engineering, but I know Rob Nagy has, and I think at this time, if we're going to narrow down those issues and let the board discuss those, I'll have the engineers come up. We're, again, proposing this project to be a project that's going to benefit the area. It's going to increase the number of parking spaces, increase the number of area of storage for runoff and water, and also be a benefit to the area with retail coming in and possibly a coffee shop, and also beautification of the area. So I'll open it up to the board. They had questions from the last meeting, and we agreed at that time to put this over with regards to more information that the board needed regarding traffic.
Could we hear from your traffic engineer? Because the plans I got were over the weekend, and to be honest with you, my computer wouldn't even open them, so I haven't even seen them.
Yeah.
I got them on Friday night at 7 and Saturday night at 6.
We had no power downtown last Friday.
I understand.
For about 5 hours.
I understand, that was Friday night. So usually we like the stuff 7 days in advance, so the traffic engineer can look it over, the board members can look it over, so instead we get it on Saturday night. But go ahead, so I haven't looked at it all, so if someone can explain it, be my guest.
All right, Robert Nagy with the applicant here, and I will be brief in my presentation, given that statement, to give you an opportunity to review it later on. But the last time we were here, we presented the project in full, looked at the traffic implications of the project on the area roadways there. There were some questions at the time about morning traffic impacts, specifically as they relate to the coffee shop. The retail component of it didn't seem to have too much focus on traffic issues, although it is a contributor to the traffic generation. But the introduction of the coffee shop seemed to pique people's interest. So what we've done is we provided a traffic memo, and part of the delay in getting it to you is we tried to find a weekend that was actually good to do traffic counts out there, which unfortunately had to happen in early October. In getting that information together, what we did was we went out, we counted the local intersections in and around the site, again, during the morning peak period. A lot of comments were made from the public, and I think from the board as well, relating to traffic queuing that's out there. So we spent some time watching that. What are the causes of that? And the memo that we ended up submitting to you documents that information. What we did with the memo was then looked at traffic impacts specifically relating to the coffee shop, again, a little bit associated with the retail piece, on the morning traffic conditions specifically. And that included looking at the intersection of Old Ferry and Pawtucket, which is one of the key intersections there, the Rourke Bridge intersection with Pawtucket, and then the site driveways feeding the site. The information, once you take a look at the impacts associated with the coffee shop, which is expected to generate about 60 new vehicles coming in and out during the morning peak periods, new vehicles. It's also going to tap into another 60 vehicles or so that are driving by the site for a total trip generation of 120 cars, both coming in and coming out of the project at the various different driveways. So we spent some time looking at that. We did not take credit for the J.J. Boomer's use. I think that was a question, how is that sort of worked into the whole analysis? What we did was we assumed that it was generating zero traffic out there, which is probably accurate, and looked at the specific impacts of the coffee shop on those roadways. And what we found after you look at the impacts, the mitigation that was already agreed to as part of the prior project The intersections are able to handle this additional traffic with only minimal levels of additional delay and maybe at most one more car or vehicle queue in the area there. And again, that assumes that the mitigation with the project that was originally proposed is brought back. Other questions that were raised included what is the potential cut through in the Townsend Ave neighborhood of traffic that might be coming down Varnum to get to this project site. Again, a lot of this is thought of in the context of the existing Varnum and Old Ferry intersection, which today is, I think we can all agree, not ideal. In the future, with the roundabout that's being proposed out there, traffic will be moving consistently through that intersection. Nobody's going to be stopped except to yield to people who are already in the roundabout. So we're hoping that that will be more of an attraction for people to use that intersection as opposed to find secret ways through the through the neighborhoods to get from Varnum down to Pawtucket and vice versa. So with that, we looked at the impacts that it could potentially have on, say, the Townsend Ave neighborhood. And one of the things we immediately noticed is, well, a coffee shop is going to generate traffic in the morning. There's a lot of turn restrictions along Varnum on many of the different roadways, side streets in that area that you can't turn into off of Varnum onto Townsend, for example, between the hours of 7 and 9 in the morning by regulation, by traffic regulation. So the likely impact of the coffee shop on those neighborhoods specifically is going to be minimized, particularly during the morning peak rush hours because of that inability to turn down there. Again, we're hoping that they're going to come down, use the roundabout, come into the project site, and exit that way. Additionally, there were some questions about the driveway's location adjacent to the right turn out driveway on Pawtucket Boulevard and its proximity to the signal downstream. There were some concerns that people might exit the driveway and try to get into the U-turn lane to reverse direction to get back to Rourke Bridge. We made minor changes to the site plan and we put some signage onto the site that directs people to the Rourke Bridge in downtown Lowell to actually, as you come out of the queue for the drive-through, to turn left, which would then take you out onto Old Ferry and then down through the signal, as opposed to trying to cross 2 lanes of traffic and get into the U-turn lane. Earlier tonight, I had an opportunity to talk to Ms. Vance about some site modifications that could happen there, and we're going to look into those, which would actually restrict the ability for folks who are parking in the supermarket parking area to cut through to get into Pawtucket via that driveway. I think they're positive, and we'll probably take those under advisement, work with our client to make sure he's comfortable with them, and if everybody likes them, then we'll make that part of the final plan. Other than that, the other impact that we spent some time looking at was queuing specifically. Again, one of the preconceived notions of this is that there's traffic queuing out there today and it's going to be like that in the future. And one of the things that is hard for folks, including myself, sometimes to envision is what the roadway improvements after they're constructed are going to do to the traffic queuing out there. One of the comments was the intersection of Varnum and Old Ferry. There's a queue that backs up regularly, almost down, all the way down to Pawtucket Boulevard under the current conditions, and how is more traffic going to be absorbed by that? And again, I ask you to take a step back and look at the creation of the new mitigation out there with the roundabout and how that's going to keep traffic constantly moving through there so there won't be that queue of traffic down there. In fact, our analysis, which was accompanied the original proposal, was peer-reviewed at that point in time, and it showed that that intersection was going to go, that approach specifically was going to go from a level service F to a level of service B during the final completion of that. So you can envision the lack of delay that will be on that approach as traffic moves around that intersection. And then specifically down at the intersection of Old Ferry and Pawtucket Boulevard, the signal right in front of the site next to the coffee shop. Again, there's a single lane approach on that, and there's traffic that's actually queuing back, and this was one of the things that we noticed when we were out there, but there's actually traffic queuing back from the Rourke Bridge intersection that actually influences that intersection, the Old Ferry intersection, negatively. And again, some of the improvements that we're bringing to the table out here will end up reducing that queue at that intersection, and we're providing additional mitigation to widen the Old Ferry approach to that intersection so that left-turning traffic will still be queued to some degree, but folks that want to turn right at that intersection will be able to bypass that left-turning traffic. And there's not a heavy movement doing that, but certainly they'll be able to get through that intersection relatively quickly and do that. Again, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about the memo that you haven't had a whole lot of time to review, but at the same point in time, that's the high-level review of the information that we've provided. Again, some additional on-site signage and some driveway adjustments are going to be provided with this project. The improvements associated with the project, specifically the coffee shop, do allow us to do some additional pedestrian improvements at the intersection of Old Ferry and Pawtucket that weren't done as part of the original plan. The plan also allows us to close a service driveway onto Old Ferry that exists for the JJ Boomers today. That won't be there in the future with this project. So we'll be pulling a lot of traffic and consolidating it into driveways that are better designed to handle them and move traffic through there. I think I covered everything that's in the memo. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I know that
Thank you, sir.
you may have other questions for other folks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak on behalf of the applicant? Okay. Ms. Vance, did you have a chance to look at the traffic memo?
I was actually out of town on Friday and on Monday. I came in this evening and did take a very quick look at it. I was not able to look at it in a great deal of detail. So it's hard for me to have detailed comments. I did mention to Mr. Nagy that for the exit onto Pawtucket Boulevard for the coffee shop, that I would recommend that only people who have gone through the coffee shop drive-through should be able to exit out of that driveway. They could also come through the drive-through and take a left and go back to the site to go to shop or go to the market basket or the retail. But I think that that would actually help limit the number of vehicles. So they would essentially put a do not enter sign, and currently they have an arrow, one going in and one going out, so it would only be traffic going in a direction into the site. And that would prevent people from coming out that way and then trying to have that very short distance to try and get into the U-turn to turn around at the next traffic signal, and should drive people to the further exit on Pawtucket Boulevard. I really don't have any detailed comments at this time. I need to review. There were 87 pages of backup data that I didn't have time to review.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Does planning staff have any additional comments before I open it up to the public?
No.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, anybody here want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody here in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody here in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Oh, have the microphone, please.
Good evening. David Owen, 26 Old Ferry Road. Couple more questions. I still don't see anything being addressed with traffic in the evening trying to take a left-hand turn off of Old Ferry into the facility. In essence, there's no turning lane on that road. It's only a one lane each direction. So anybody trying to take a left-hand turn at 5 o'clock at night is going to sit there for a while with all the traffic coming across the bridge and coming up Old Ferry. And that's going to cause a backup in front of the fire station and ultimately in front of my house and out to Varnum. So I'm wondering what can be done to address that queuing location where people are waiting to take a left into that location, into the facility. Also, when am I going to see anything about the roundabout? Because I haven't seen or heard anything, and that's a really big part of this for me, is the queuing in front of my house. So I haven't received anything, haven't heard anything. I hear it talked about, but I see no. Is that a whole separate project?
Nope. What happened was when they were here last time, they indicated that the city's working with them on the roundabout. That was the information we received from the city departments as well from Attorney Curtis.
I see nothing online, no diagrams, no plan paperwork anywhere.
It's a city infrastructure project, and it does require a filing with the Conservation Commission, so eventually the public, you'll get notified.
Eventually,
Yeah.
I'll find out about it.
Yes.
Because that's kind of
Because when
important
we
to me.
approved the plan, we didn't say that they had to do the roundabout, because we only requested that they have the traffic lights up there, which was all that was needed by the traffic study.
Yep.
And that's how we recommended that they work through the roundabout, so that's something that has to go through the city and something that we haven't approved, because we can't approve it, especially if it takes a land taking. So therefore, we've been told it's in the works. We've had confirmation on that from the city as well as the applicant.
So I'll hear from it at some point, I hope.
Yep, we're hoping so too.
I was going to question the traffic taking the U-turn coming out of the coffee shop. I think you're still going to have a lot of cars trying to shoot across that because it's not very convenient to go back out on the Old Ferry Road, especially if that's queuing up. Nobody's going to want to cut through the parking lot to turn out onto Old Ferry to just sit at the light where you can take a shot across 3 lanes and get to that U-turn no matter what signage you put there. So I expect to see some accidents there, but we'll see how that works out. And I see through the traffic information that we're not expecting any volume increase by increasing the site by 10,000 square feet. We don't think that's going to generate more trips than the 12,000 square foot original plan. I don't see any traffic adjustment for the bigger site. So I don't see any adjustments there. I don't know how that's not going to be impacted. But those are my 2 main things, is really I'm worried about the queue on Old Ferry where it's a 1 lane each way. And is there going to be blocked out, no queuing in front of the fire station? What if that fire truck needs to come out when that traffic is backed up? How's that going to be controlled? Is there any plan for that? Because that truck comes out about twice an hour, every day. So, and this 87 pages is a little late to try and review, especially for somebody who has a day job. So I think legally we're not supposed to rule on this because this was so late. So I didn't have time to go through this 87 pages. I barely went through these 11 pages. So I don't know if you guys feel comfortable, but I don't feel comfortable without looking through this. And like I said, I have a day job, so it's kind of tough.
We do too.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Does the applicant want to comment on any questions raised by Mr. Owen?
One of the comments that was made regarding the number of traffic count that will be going through there. Again, we have J.J. Boomers, which is more or less a midday and an evening establishment there. I've gone by there many times on a Saturday. There's a lot of cars there. You're not going to have that same type of car flow when you have a coffee shop. You're going to have more traffic, yes, in the morning, but in the afternoons or midday, it's going to drop off substantially. With regards to a dry goods store that's located next to the market basket, again, there's ample parking. I don't know the numbers, how that translates into more or less, whether it was a 12,000 square foot liquor store or it's going to be a retail dry goods store of 22,000. I don't think, my understanding that it's going to be any more intrusive to the area with the number of cars traveled. Again, with regard to Old Ferry Road, we have a memorandum of understanding with the city of Lowell that we signed way back, indicating that we're going to go through with this roundabout at a substantial cost to try to basically help that Pawtucketville area retain its character and not have a traffic light. I think everybody was in agreement for that, and we're working towards that. There are a lot of hurdles, whether it's working with National Grid. I know Planning Department and Traffic and Engineering Department have all been working on board, and it's going to work simultaneously. But I think it's going to be a great project, and it's going to be a great addition not to have a traffic light at Old Ferry and Varnum and have a roundabout. So I think it's a great project. I'm sorry again that you didn't get information in a little more timely manner, but see what we can do. If we need to continue this, we'll be able to do that if you need more time to review the traffic information.
Thank you, Council. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to any of the board members. Have any questions?
I have just one.
Sure, Mr. Lockhart?
Referencing the memo from VHB on, what's the date, October 15th, 2019, towards the back page on the mitigation, it states commitments to signal timing adjustments and other recommendations at both the Rourke Bridge and the Old Ferry Road signals with Pawtucket Boulevard. And it states, as the project site is built out, the applicant has agreed to conduct regular monitoring of these locations, and if warranted, adjust the signal timings and implement other recommendations. Can you be more specific with that? I mean, you're gonna do that once a year, or once every 6 months, or?
So, are you asking staff or?
I'm asking the applicant.
You want me to answer? I'm happy to answer that question.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm happy to answer the question. What we had originally proposed as part of the original project was to do monitorings 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, and then annually for a period of 5 years after initial occupancy of the site, with the intent of not just counting cars that are coming in and out of the project facility, but also looking at the operations of the various different mitigation actions that we're proposing to put in there, and seeing that they're going to operate, and basically justifying and proving to the board and to the city that the improvements are operating as we've intended them to operate. Should there be some sort of situation, which we don't foresee, we're confident in our analyses and our information, should we see something that doesn't operate the way we expected it to, we're obliged to come back to the board and to the city to address those impacts with them, be it through timing changes at the signals, restriping of some approaches, doing some physical or timing mitigation to address the impacts so that they do come back in line with what we told you they would be. Again, don't foresee that happening, which is why we're willing to commit to that. But at the same point in time, I think it's something that's not really done with a lot of development that I'm aware of in many situations.
All right, thank you. You know, the follow-up there is very important, so that's what I was looking for, the specifics of what you intend to do. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Mr. Fischett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, certainly want to acknowledge a lot of positive things happening with actually the J.J. Boomer's building coming down, and the improvements that you're looking to make to that portion of the site. But I can see the efforts here to improve and restrict the movements coming onto Pawtucket Boulevard, and hopefully working with Natasha, you can come up with a plan that really addresses that, because that's a dangerous road. If I had my way, and I was involved with it many years ago, we were lucky to be able to close off some of those cut-throughs, but it's only because the city of Lowell has a traffic control agreement with the state. Otherwise, you wouldn't see openings in a four-way road like this. You just wouldn't see it. You know, it's just not advisable from a traffic engineering perspective. So I guess what I still have some difficulty with, and I look at your memo and the response, because really what seems to really address the flow is the roundabout. And I wish I had started keeping count, but you referred to it many times in your testimony here. But the reality of it is the board approved it without a roundabout. They approved it with a signalization. And I was the only dissenting vote, because not because this isn't a good project, but I honestly thought we should have known in advance whether or not that's going to actually happen. It's a large impact project. A lot of people looking forward to it happening. You know, my oldest daughter was at the house Sunday, and they live in the Highlands, and she said they can't wait till it opens, because they do their groceries when they leave on Sunday, and they're going to do that on the way home and swing by there. So, from a personal note, it's easy. We're eager to see it go up on the site. But the reality of it is, it's going to have a large impact on the area. And the reality of it is, right now on Varnum Ave, that arterial road, that is your major artery that flows. It flows right now. The backup happens on Old Ferry, because you're trying to find an opening, and especially when you're trying to take a left-hand turn. Once we if it ends up that this, what this project was approved with, and again, I live in the world of policies and procedures and government regulations, and what we actually approved and what we have on the table is a traffic light there. And nowhere in here does it talk about that being a good thing for the flow. So what my concern is if the roundabout does not happen for some reason, we didn't make it a condition of this project, and really appreciate the effort that's being made by everybody involved here, but it's not finished yet. And if that happens, then you are going to have some queuing on Varnum Ave. Then you are going to have some people looking to not want to sit in traffic and cut into the neighborhood streets. That's going to get you onto the boulevard, then to get you into the site. So that's a real concern I have. You know, I'd love to make it a condition of this approval if we could. And by the way, on large impact projects, and you've done projects all over the New England states, you can require some off-site improvements if it's a large impact project. I mean, it's, you know, we're kidding ourselves if that's not the case. So, again, this isn't a revision of a major site. This isn't a revision of a plan that's already there. This is a very low-profile, you know, it was an awful-looking area, but there wasn't a lot of activity going on that site. And it's really going to revitalize that, and it's going to create a lot of activity. So that's my concern, you know, because I hear that as really the key to the flow is the roundabout. And that's why I think that's paramount. But the reality of it is there's nothing that says that has to happen for this project to happen. So that's my concern. Obviously, I think we want to make sure Natasha has time to review the material that was provided. I'd like to have more time to review the material, and I think the chairman has made that clear. But I certainly want to make it clear what my concerns are. Okay,
We've been discussing this from the beginning after we were approved back in, was it November? And I'll let Jim Lamp explain also that this has been on the table as, from our perspective, as a roundabout from the time we got approved.
No, and I
understand that it says a signal, but unless there's some serious reason why a roundabout can't go in that area, it's going to be a roundabout. That's how it's going to work.
Maybe Rob can address this as well, but if I remember correctly from the approval, the traffic light and the roundabout both function nearly identically from a traffic perspective. But maybe Rob can confirm that. But in terms of your concern about if a roundabout versus a light, if it's applicable to the comments he's making, I would also say we are working with VHB to move the roundabout forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Jim Lamp. I think what happened in the original review by the peer review was the statement was the roundabout was much better improvement than the signal. However, the signal fully mitigated the site. So what we did at the last meeting during the approval was we agreed that we would do everything in our power to put a roundabout here. As long as I could get approval on the financing on our side, we did that. We've worked with the city, and I don't think there's any reason why this can't be built, because it's really a matter of one easement that is being held up, and it doesn't need that easement to be built. We're just trying to do what needs to be done to make sure that the owner of the lot in question doesn't feel like he's damaged. But it can be done without touching his property with a small wall. So there's no doubt in my mind that a roundabout will be done, and it will alleviate the traffic and do above and beyond what's required of this site to mitigate the impacts. And if you want to talk to Rob about the specifics, but that's what I recall. I think it's accurate. Thank you.
And I would agree with that. I would concur with that, but in the sense that from a traffic perspective of what services an intersection and what the behavior can be versus a roundabout versus a traffic light, I don't think anybody can argue that, and that's, to me, that's the difference in how that's going to flow.
And I'd encourage the board, unless somebody from the staff can say that there's a reason why they don't feel that this is going to go forward, I think you can take the signal off the table at this point. I think we're moving forward with the roundabout, and that's what's going to be built.
But would you be receptive if we made it a condition upon this approval that it would be subject to the roundabout?
Absolutely, we've agreed to it.
That
I'm
would
on the
certainly
record
make me
saying
a lot
that we've
happier.
agreed to it, so absolutely, if you know,
No.
the one, you know, on some off chance that something happens, but everything that I'm aware of is everything's moving forward and we can get this done. Agreed?
That is my understanding as well. We're moving forward with the permitting and construction of the roundabout, and at this point, we're looking at a spring start.
Yeah. I can't speak to any legal matters that might happen internally
sure.
with the city, but as long as we can get the the right-of-way, which most of it's all on city land.
I mean, I would feel, that would satisfy my concerns. It really would. Because again, the reality of it is, that's not what was made as a condition of.
Yeah, I guess what it would be is if something were to happen, we would have the opportunity to come back to the board and talk about the signal again. So it kind of puts us back where we would anyway, so I think we can agree to that.
I think the understanding when we were here back in November was that a signal was adequate for what we were doing. And we talked, even at that time, as Jim indicated, that the best scenario would be a roundabout. And you specifically stated that that is what would be the best scenario, not just for the fact that it would be better for traffic, but that it would also keep in character to what the area is. So I don't feel that we need to go anywhere further than where we are right now, that we are approved with a signal. We have no intentions of putting a signal there, but I don't think we should predicate this decision or change the decision to say it has to be a roundabout. There are some obstacles, and we're working with the city very closely on that, and I don't think there's probably a 99 of 100% chance that the roundabout's going to happen. But I don't want to go forward and say, okay, we're going to make it a roundabout, and then we have some problem with an issue of an easement or some other matter, and we have to go back and come back before the board. We have a client that has been in this area over 100 years, who's done a lot for this city from the beginning, and if he's a man of his word, if he indicates that he's going to put the money up to build a roundabout, then that's what we're going to do. Unless there's some real problem with National Grid or some problem in that area that we can't do this with a roundabout, it's going to happen.
But Counselor, the responses, even from that we received, again, ultimately, the proposed roundabout at the intersection of Varnum Avenue and Old Ferry will help to eliminate the long-standing historical delays at this location, encourage drivers to use the main roadways to arrive and depart from the project site. It's a major component of the responses that you've provided.
So, again, when we entered into a memorandum of understanding with the city, it was based on the fact that we're moving forward with a building, an expensive building to put up there. And we don't want to get into a situation where if there's some mitigating situation that we can't put a roundabout there, that we're going to be prevented from building our building, because we're already well into this whole development. And we don't want to get into a situation now where we're going to be saying, okay, we'll do the roundabout. I think sometimes you have to take people for their word, and you have someone that's not coming in from out of town. This is someone who's been here for a long time, and if he says we're going to build a roundabout and he's spending the money to do it, that's where we're at. And I think the board has to take that and say, okay, you know, we trust this situation, and we're going to work very closely with the city. We signed a memorandum of understanding with the city that that was the best scenario, and everybody indicated that that's what they wanted, and I think it's going to work out.
Attorney Curtis touched on it. The catch-22 on this is we've got a site plan approval that if the fallback is we've got a building, you know, steel's going up. We've got a building. We can't say something that would mean that building has to be torn down. So we would hope that the original approval is still good until this approval. And if this approval doesn't go forward, we can always go back, leave JJ Boomer's where it is, get our store up, do the 12,500 square foot store next to it, because that approval still stands.
So I don't mean to interrupt. I think your concern, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the added traffic for the coffee shop is your concern about the roundabout. I don't think that this board or the city is interested in having the existing building that you were permitted for to come down.
Right.
But instead of make this just something to consider, instead of making the roundabout contingent on the revised site plan review for the existing site, we can attach that as a condition just for the drive-through special permit. So they don't get to build a drive-through at that roundabout, or they'd have to come back to.
Well, then they have to come back. See, this is what I'm looking for. Then you would have to come back, and then instead of providing, really, the key element is you refer to the roundabout. Then let's say the roundabout can't happen. Then you come back and we say, well, now we got a traffic light. Well, what's the impact with the traffic light, and how will that impact Townsend Ave. Do you understand where, I mean, you understand where I'm coming from on this? I mean, that's the point, to have some controls in place. That's really what I'm looking for.
To make myself clear, my recommendation that the roundabout be a condition of the special permit for the drive-through
Yep,
is only that they have to come back if for some reason that roundabout can't happen.
right, and then we can look at that as the impact that it would have
So it
with
would
the
have-
signalized intersection. And it may not be, but I just, to me, even in the responses and in the testimony tonight, you keep coming back to that, yeah.
Yeah, and we agree to that, and I think that if you did make it contingent on the coffee shop, we're fine with that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I mean, that's the
biggest-
point. It's
that's
not
the
to try
biggest
to
concern.
stop a project at this,
No,
but that's not realistic.
And
That's
I
not
just
gonna
want to
happen.
make sure that I protect, because we're kind of vested in the plan that was already approved. That's what was used for the building permit. That's
Right.
why we're moving forward with that.
Right.
And if everything were to blow up for some unknown reason, that site plan still could be built.
Right, and then you come
That's-
back.
and I just want that
Then
to
you
be
come back, and
clear
your
and-
memo's not gonna refer to a roundabout that's gonna
Yeah.
relieve, I mean, we're gonna talk about
Absolutely.
what's gonna happen with a traffic light.
Yeah. I agree with that. We can work with the language with staff and make sure that that's proper.
I think that's, Christine came up with the King Solomon approach, so that was perfect, yeah.
As usual.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Caleb, any questions?
Well, I think Mr. Fischett already addressed the traffic issue. Just one question. This project was approved like before I joined the board, and so I remember when we're discussing about with the temple project. I just wanted to verify the cemetery is called the clay pit, or I thought I seen something else on the other plan. So I don't know if the staff have verified that.
I can answer that. The cemetery that you're referring to is on an adjacent site that's going to be sort of, you could probably access it from some of their parking to the side of the building. It is often called the Town of Drakewood Cemetery. It's been called the Clay Pit Cemetery. We've heard Varnum, we've heard Coburn. There is an interesting ownership issue, and so we're not really sure what the official name is, but it is called the Clay Pit Cemetery, and I think that's what it's called out on this site plan.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure if we have a chance, we put the sign in right so that, we respect the cemetery. That's all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you. So, I just have two minor points. One, I think that we all need time to look over the traffic memo, so therefore, obviously, give the city engineer a chance to look it over, rest of the board members look it over. So, Mr. Curtis, as you proposed, we could be looking at a new date. Next meeting's accordingly on November 4th, and then November 18th.
Well, as long as the board has enough time for that November 4th meeting, we'd rather go with that meeting, if that's okay.
Ms. Vance, would that be enough time for you to look everything over? And can I just ask the traffic engineer, from the applicant in question? So I know Mr. Fischett, when he was reading all the traffic memo stuff, you talked about the roundabout. Now, would your recommendations change if it said roundabout or traffic light? Or would it still be the same thing, or does one predicate the other? Or would you still say, these are still our recommendations, whether it's a traffic light, or does it change because it's a roundabout? And if you don't have to answer that now, but you can work that out, just something to throw up in the air, okay?
Yeah, we can talk.
Okay,
talk
it could be like,
about that.
it would still satisfy it this way or that, but, 'cause I know we did approve it with the traffic light, because that's what was required by us. So, but let's throw it out there, so if you have questions, meet with the traffic engineer, you could maybe hash something out and answer some of that. And as Mr. Fischett said, maybe that could be separate just on the special permit for the coffee shop. So, is November 4th sufficient for, well, the board members
Yes.
plan to be here on that date, no problem?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to continue the matter to November 4th.
Second.
Motion made and second, continue to November 4th, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Very much, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. Moving along on the agenda. Let's see. Start reading this one. Okay, moving along on the agenda, next matter is 116 and 128 Fletcher Street. This is for a site plan review and a special permit. An application by NG Development LLC seeking site plan review and special permit approval from the planning board and variances approval from the zoning board to convert an existing building at the above address into 11 residential dwelling units. The property is in the urban mixed-use zones district and requires a site plan review under section 11.42 to construct more than 3 dwelling units, and a special permit under section 12.1E to construct 7 or more dwelling units on one lot in the UMU zone, in variance for section 5.1 for lot area per dwelling unit, and under section 6.141D for off-street parking requirements. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Joshua Guerra of 22 Phillips Street, Lowell, Mass., representing NG Development in the purchase and redevelopment of 116 and 128 Fletcher Street. We are proposing a project that will renovate 116 Fletcher Street into residential units, converting it from a non-compliance use of manufacturer/warehouse building to a zone compliant residential building. We're proposing to build 11 units. 6 are two-bedroom units, 5 are one-bedroom units. The plan is proposing to, on the outside, to replace most of the building siding. A few years ago, the front of the building facing Fletcher Street got its siding replaced with a fiber cement board. We would be proposing to wrap the entire building in that. It would, because I think that would allow the process to flow easily and get it past the historic board, because they have to accept the material being used, and since they already accepted it, we figured it'd be easier. Sorry. As you see, the existing elevation would remain almost the same. We're planning to actually put HVAC units in the building or on top of the building, as you see, and the plans would just be showing a screen to block off the mechanical equipment from public view. The plan is to put 4 residential units in in the first floor and the second floor, and on the basement we'd be putting 3 residential units, along with any of the mechanical equipment and utilities equipment required to run the building. That would be fire suppression system, electrical, natural gas, and then sewer connections and so forth. This project has already gone through the zoning board, and they have approved the project with 3 contingencies. One being get an 8 parking space lease, answer a few remaining questions that the transportation department has in regards to reducing the transportation requirements in the area, and then the third one would be a 6-month review period. Thank you.
At the ZBA, did they act on the variances for the land use per dwelling? Do you know?
I believe they did. They granted the parking variance and the dwelling to land area. They granted that variance. Based on that variance or the code, we are allotted 7 dwelling units, and they gave us a variance on that code, so we could go up to the 11 units.
Okay. Could you show us your parking plan, please?
This property is this is the building structure. It is entirely over 116 Fletcher Street. The parking lot area would be on 128 Fletcher Street. Currently, there is 5 parking spots. In that parking area, there would be room for the stormwater system and an area to put in a recycle dumpster and a trash dumpster, along with some grass area to improve the site and for snow storage. And then along the fence line, there would be some vegetation.
So where's your parking? I'm not getting...
Right here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots.
For the 11 units?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then we'd be looking into getting a lease for 8 units. Right across the street, there's a church that we're trying to contact, along with Leonard Electric right here. Mm-hmm. In our previous meeting, Leonard Electric actually showed up in support of the project.
At our meeting?
Not your meeting, sorry, the zoning board meeting that we had last Thursday.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Anything else you want to add in your presentation?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody here this evening like to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in favor?
Morning, Mr. Chairman, board members, and staff. My name is Ray Booton. I live at 255 4th Avenue. I've lived there for 25 years. I'm here to speak on behalf of the project. I'm currently working with Mr. Kelly, who owns the property. I'm his real estate agent, but I've also become familiar with the city and their work to regentrify certain areas to increase the housing stock, and I think this plan that they would do would help that. I think it makes sense due to the close proximity to the Gallagher terminal and to the Hamilton Canal redevelopment area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody want to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Hearing none at this time. I'll turn over to board members. Any board members have any questions? So I'll start. I still have the question on the parking. So if you're going to show us shared parking from someone else, we have to have a letter telling us where those parking spots are. I did go over your plan, and I was out there last Monday morning at 7:30. And I did look at your plan where you said there were some parking spaces on the street, and some of those parking spaces were empty, and a few of them were full. So I looked under your parking lot thing here. So I know the ZBA said you need at least a minimum of 8. I think they're being very generous. I think we'd need a minimum of at least 11. But as far as I'm concerned, for us to act on it, you're going to have to show us where you're going to pick up those spaces. So.
We currently don't have a location of where we're going to pick up those spaces while we're in works on contacting residents in the area who have empty lots that we might possibly be using for a lease.
All right. So I'll turn over to the board members. Those are my concerns out of the to begin with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I would echo your point that you made on that. I think if you're looking for approval from this board, we want to have evidence that those 8 parking spaces have been secured. And we do that with other projects as well. So I certainly would not be willing to support it at the moment without having those 8 spots actually accounted for. And even in looking at the ZBA minutes, I mean, they and appreciate the on-street analysis that was done. But it was even indicated that, I mean, this is a quote from the ZBA. The board acknowledged that the parking study provided the applicant showed available on-street parking, but stated that the continued availability of on-street parking is not guaranteed. So, so even the ZBA had indicated some concerns with that. And from our perspective, when we're making, when we're deliberating on whether or not we're going to approve a project, if there's not enough parking, and ultimately, if you don't have it secured, it could affect your ability to rent space in the building as well. So, recognizing you're working on some alternative transportation modes, which obviously will hopefully attract people that don't have automobiles or don't have as many automobiles. But clearly, it's quite a departure from what would be required for parking. So I would concur with the chairman at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lockhart?
I just have one, if you could expand. I'm looking at the September 29th narrative edition from the Department of Planning and Development regarding, I'll just read what I'm referring to. The proposed project can implement various management practices to encourage the use of public transportation, clean transportation, and limit the use of required parking. And there's a listing of 6 items that you could implement. Can you expand on that at all?
No, yes, I can.
Intent there.
So we received additional questions from the city after they provided initial feedbacks, and that's what we responded with. And they provided additional questions as of a more elaborate plan. We still haven't had a chance to respond to them, but some of the ideas that we were mentioning would be possibly incentivizing tenants who don't have vehicles to rent with us. For example, we might offer a rent incentive, a lower rent, or if you don't have a vehicle, we can provide monthly bus passes. We could also put in a bike storage area on site in the building or outside the building. We'd have to figure out the configuration of that would allow also protection from the environment. If we could try to get connected with a rideshare program to allow bikes on that site so that tenants could use. If there's no specific rideshare program that might want to partner up, it could be a case of the owner, NG Development, could provide bicycles to tenants or bicycles on site for tenant use, along with repair stations, or we'll find a management system of how to keep the bikes active. Also trying to implement maybe some rideshare programs. There's like V-Ride in the city that we might have a possible site for them to store a vehicle off the, they can't store them on the street, but off the street on our site.
Okay, so you're obviously willing to work with
That is,
developing and investigating and implementing appropriate measures.
yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Kayla?
So I think parking remains the key question here. I think the site plan address some other issues, stormwater, for example, and so seems like those were taken care of. But for parking, I kind of wanted to ask the city engineer, because I see more of these projects coming up that try to redevelop in denser area, and for the board, I think the goal for us is to make sure that parking, on-street parking doesn't become an issue because of spilling. So we do want to have to make sure the vehicle park on the premise when possible, and also within the premise of the zoning code. But at the same time, I know this is also something new from the city, and also the city is changing. For example, doing a bicycle plan, ongoing planning process. And so asking the city engineer, is there a way to gauge what scale of a transportation management plan might be equivalent to a certain reductions in parking requirement, or is too new for that, to have an idea on that realm?
I think that's a great point. And I think when you're trying to develop in these dense areas and also closer into so it's sort of a transit-oriented development because it's not very far from the Gallagher terminal, the city is in support of reducing the parking requirement. However, there would need to be a fairly robust transportation demand management program in place. We'd probably like to have it fleshed out, like how that would be monitored, so in the instance of the rent incentive, it seems like a great idea. If someone committed to living there and not having a vehicle, but how would that be confirmed? How would they monitor that over time? Because someone could simply say they didn't have a car and then park their car on the street. I have the same concerns about the availability of on-street parking. It does seem like there are parking spots available right now. The city is, constantly developing, and that there's no guarantee that that would be there. And then, in addition, we are developing a bike master plan. Hopefully, at some time in the near not too distant future, there will be a better bike network in the city. But right now, it's not very robust, and we don't have a lot of people on bikes. So I think that there's, I think it's a good idea and an excellent goal, but definitely something that maybe the infrastructure isn't quite there yet. And we would need to see, ideally, I'd like to see on the site plan where bike storage would be, if an agreement was going to be made with a ride sharing, like Uber or Lyft or a Zipcar or something like that. It seems like we just need to flesh out the site plan a little bit to indicate where those things would exist, and sort of how the monitoring would occur over time.
Thank you.
If I may address your comments as well.
Let him finish first, please.
Sorry.
I thank you again, Natasha, and go ahead, I think I have,
Thank you.
that should answer my question.
Thank you, sir. So as we're trying to definitely reduce parking space, needed off-street parking space, on-street parking. We're trying to reduce on-street parking. This site is pretty small, and based on the city's requirements, really 5 is the max we can have on site. I've looked through the table, the parking requirements table, and I've tried to analyze what area what type of zoning or what type of building you could, or what type of redevelopment you can have for that specific building to not need a variance, or so you can have the proper required size lot for the parking. And currently, as it stands, the existing use is really the only building you could use without requiring a parking variance, and that's because it's grandfathered in. The other 2 types would be a single-family house or a two-family house, but now the building is roughly like 11,000 square feet, so you'd have two houses of 5,000 square feet. For that area, it's really not acceptable or not ideal.
So what if you propose less units? Then would bring down less parking, right? Because as the comments that we received, if you got 11 units, so you're supposed to have 22 spaces.
Correct.
Okay? I'm not done yet.
Sorry.
Okay? So planning staff was very good to come up with the equation here that reduced it to 15. Said the parking requirement for the existing warehouse is 1 space per 16,000 square feet. And for the total use requirements of 7 spaces. The use was pre-existing, non-conforming, as the lot of 128 has only 5 legal spaces. So consequently, the applicant received credit for 7 spaces, so therefore you're seeking a variance for 15, okay? So you're looking for 15 spaces. So you only have 5 on the lot, okay? So if you need 5, I know the zoning board said they're requesting up to 8, but we're not bound by what the zoning board says. So, as I said in my initial comment, says, we'd usually like to see at least 1 parking spot per unit. So, the question we have to you is, if you want us to consider this further, you're gonna have to either come back with a letter showing us with that off-street parking, or if you're gonna say you're not gonna get that letter, then we can vote tonight. Whatever you'd like to do.
We're definitely seeking to get the letter. It just takes some time to get current landowners to respond.
Yeah.
I believe you had a comment of, to reduce number of units. Based on a cost study and a bank appraisal, we don't have much room in reduction of units. To tell you the truth, to show good faith on our end, we'd probably be able to reduce the site by 1 unit, but that would really be max. After that, the bank would not approve financing, and this deal would be dead in the water, to be honest.
Yeah. Unfortunately, under our site plan and special permit, the cost factor is not one of the things that we consider. So if you want to continue it, you can tell us when you think you'd be able to get the letters. We'd give you time, because when you came in for the pre-app, we said the exact same thing.
Understood, sir.
I told you when you came in before, the issue was the parking. And so I know you worked on it between the last meeting and this meeting, which was over a month ago. You haven't restored it, so I don't know how much more time you need to try to see if you could get a letter for parking off-street.
We would like to request a continuance to the next available meeting.
How about if we continue to November 18th? Would that give you plenty of time?
To tell you the truth, it really depends on the seller of the property. We've extended the purchase of this property until the beginning of November. After that, the seller would have to re-extend us, and I'm not sure if he'd be willing to go that far into November, to tell you the truth, sir.
All right. Well, if you couldn't get the letter in 4 weeks, why are you going to get it in 2?
We'll start pounding on doors, sir.
I mean, you told us that a month ago. That you're going to work on getting the parking spaces, and it's all in your narrative.
No, understood. We were definitely more focused on doing the parking study than getting the actual lease agreement set up, but that will be our main focus for this go-around.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get approval by the board, then your P&S isn't going anywhere anyway, so.
Correct. Understood. Is there an an earlier meeting, sir?
We have a meeting on November 4th and November 18th. On November 4th, right now, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matters. That's why I suggested the 18th. But
Can you give me 1 second, sir?
sure,
Sorry.
take your time, sir.
Sir, we've got a verbal from the owner saying they'll extend to a little past the 18th, so we can do the 18th meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Therefore, I'd make a motion that we continue the matter to November 18th.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much, good luck.
Thank you guys very
Get
much.
your parking planned out, okay? Good luck. Good luck, gentlemen.
Chairman? Oh, Mr. Chairman. Can I add one more reminder that they also answer the rest of the comments so that they have everything prepared next time?
Yep. He's just saying, if you can just look over the city comments when you come back, make sure you address the city comments. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along on the agenda, 705 Dutton Street. This is for an application by Grow Team Gardens, LLC, seeking site plan review approval to open a marijuana cultivation facility at the above address. The building is in the light industrial zone district and needs site plan review upon approval under section 11.4 and section 7.10. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Joseph Claremont, representing the applicants in this matter. With me tonight is the principal of Grow Team Gardens, Dan Landry, and also the architect, Jay Mason. Now, the applicant is seeking a site plan review for a marijuana cultivation facility to be located at 705 Dutton Street. He's looking to locate the facility within the existing building, and he would build an enclosed cultivation and production building, essentially a building built within the building. It will be cultivation only with no retail, so there'll be no customers at the site, no retail, so that eliminates much of the traffic or parking issues. This particular property is owned by Kazanjian Enterprises, Inc., and it would be leased by the applicant. As you said, Mr. Chairman, it is in a light industrial zone. Cultivation is an allowable use, and the applicant has been working with the city for many months. And I want to give thanks to the DPD, Christine, Eric, and the entire staff for working with them and assisting us with this project. They had their community outreach meeting in May 29th of this year, and on August 12th, the city manager signed their host community agreement that allowed them to go forward with this application. The property is to be used for cultivation of marijuana and production of marijuana-infused products, and the property will be constructed in a manner to greatly minimize any odor, safety concerns, noise, and environmental impacts. The products will only be sold wholesale off-site to off-site retail establishment, and the site will not be open to the public. All products sold will be subject to strict state testing and standards, and in conjunction with this application, Grow Team Gardens has submitted the existing conditions plan, some architectural renderings, a stormwater mitigation plan, an odor mitigation plan, a waste disposal procedure plan, and an auto turn swept pass analysis. Jay Mason in a moment will describe the building and the site in a little more detail, but there are 15 dedicated employee parking spaces, which is well within the ordinance of 1 space per 1,200 square feet. As far as the traffic flow is concerned, there's no retail, so traffic would be limited to employees and deliveries. They expect approximately 9 full-time employees. The transportation narrative submitted concludes that the additional traffic generated can be safely and efficiently accommodated along the adjacent roadway network. And the lot is completely fenced in. The hours they anticipate operating is 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., covered by 2 shifts. Sunday, probably 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Utilities are municipal water and sewer, and they will upgrade the electrical service for the new project. Security, a detailed security plan has been submitted to the Deputy Superintendent. The plan has been reviewed and accepted by the police, and there's a letter in your packet dated August 12th. Deliveries to other state-licensed marijuana establishments will comply with all state and local requirements, and detailed records are required for inventory control, regulatory compliance, The principal of Grow Team Gardens, Dan Landry, will be the registered liaison with police. Our waste disposal and recycling plan was also submitted. All marijuana waste is stored securely until it's destroyed and disposed of independently. As far as odor control, they submitted a detailed plan. This is a very important consideration of the client. Grow Team Gardens will take extreme measures to eliminate all odors resulting from their operations. They are providing multiple layers of odor control, redundant carbon filtration throughout the facility, and those are stated to be 99.9% effective, negative air pressure in the cultivation rooms, odor ionization technology, and the training of employees for odor elimination. They're also installing a closed-loop HVA system so there's no exhaustive odors to the outside. With regard to the comment memo we received from DPD, it's noted that the fire, police, solid waste departments have approved. They did request modification of our 1,000-foot context map, which I had some problems putting it together, but we finally figured it out, and we submitted a 1,000-foot context map just recently. Of course, this project is cultivation only, not retail. As far as transportation of product is concerned, again, it's cultivation. It's not a dispensary. We're not anticipating traffic issues. It's a gated site. Trucks will be able to pull in and turn around in the site. There's mainly small trucks that service this company. Possibly a larger truck that may have to back out, but that would only be once or twice a year. As far as stormwater is concerned, there was a condition proposed in the memo that the applicant will provide a narrative description of the existing rooftop stormwater drywall system and continue to work with the city engineer, wastewater department, and DPD to determine other possible stormwater mitigation measures on the site prior to start of any site work. And that's fine with my client if that's imposed as a condition. Also some minor conditions with the fire department. We have no problem with those. And solid waste and recycling said the plan looked great. They had no issues with it. However, they want to know how many containers they will have for waste, recycle, and organics. They will have one of each. As far as the organics is concerned, those are destroyed on site, and they're completely changed in character so that there's no disposal of marijuana products. So the organic products is rendered completely unusable, kept in a secured container until it's transported to a licensed disposal facility. Jay's going to take us through the improvements to the building, if you could.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to bring your attention, and I won't belabor this, I know it's late, but I wanted to bring your attention to the site. The current building here on the site is about a 14,000 square foot facility. It has a basement, a first floor, and a small mezzanine which will be used for storage. The entrance will be developed here in this area off the corner, and this overhead structure that you see to the right is a loading dock, and that will be enclosed. And I'll show you how that works in just a minute. The parking spaces. The 15 spaces will be located on the site. There'll be some drainage mitigation work done here. There's a proposal for 5-foot wide stone trench, front to back on the site. The swept analysis has been done. I believe there's a copy in your package. I think there's 9 pages in there. There are 4 of those pages here on the boards, so you're not seeing anything that is new. There's drainage that is internal to the building. There are internal drains, and our civil engineer has made reference to that in the narrative that you received. And that narrative talks about how the drainage works and goes inside the building to a dry well. So it's my understanding that the site stormwater mitigation is at least something is in place. The rest of the facility here, there'll be a fence wrapping around the building here, at least until the enclosure of the loading dock is done. That will become part of the facility. It's about 1,600 square feet. So that enclosure will be this structure that you see to the right. So this is the current loading dock, and we're enclosing it to create another component for the processing of the building product. The fencing you can see. The site will be landscaped, and entrance will be part of the control and the security features that have been presented and accepted by the Lowell Police Department. I think that's it. I do want to, again, bring to your attention the current facility and the condition of the site. It's a tired facade. It's an industrial use. There's a small office component. There's a tenant with an office component, but the building is essentially a warehouse facility and a trucking and logistics operation, and they have a scale on the site, so there's quite a bit of noise and dust and heavy vehicular traffic that comes and goes on the site. So all of those things are going to change for the better as our client moves forward with this project, and we hope that it will be self-evident that that's the case. Are there any other questions? Any questions?
Not yet. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, Dan Landry, who's the principal of Grow Team Gardens, would like to address the board as well.
Sure.
Good evening, Chairman. I'm CEO and manager of Grow Team Gardens, Dan Landry. We're a small, local-owned business, plan to cultivate and manufacture marijuana products for the adult use market. I'm just going to go over a little bit about the company. We're very environmentally conscious. Use LED, energy-efficient grow lighting. We have a sustainable no-till vertical style growing system where really nothing goes to waste. All plant waste gets recycled, composted, reused. The operation, the HVAC condensate all gets reused and fed to the plants, so we don't waste any water. Approximately 5,000 square feet canopy space, divided into 6 different growing areas of various stages of growth for the plants. We also have about 1,000 square feet in manufacturing space where we'll be producing extracts, concentrates, and pre-rolls. 1,000 square feet of processing area where we will dry, trim, and package the products. We will also, GGD will only wholesale their products to dispensaries and other licensed marijuana establishments in the state of Massachusetts. Some of the benefits to the community is we'll be employing a lot of local Lowell residents. We'll host at least 4 industry-specific educational seminars. As Jay went over, we'll be adding a lot of property improvements and enhancements. We'll be conducting fundraisers and donations to local charities, and 3% of our revenue goes to the city of Lowell. In closing, and if licensed, we hope to be able to work alongside the community and service the community for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And that's our presentation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Claremont. At this point in time, I'll turn it over to the public. Anybody here this evening want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody in favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none. Anybody in opposition? Okay. Come to the microphone and state your name and address, please.
Shirley Blanchard, 8 Wamasett Court. I am a direct abutter next door of 705. And I just want you to be concerned about how it affects the quality of my life of living there. I mean, I've been lied to in the past of what type of business was going to be going on in that location in the past, and I hope it's not happening now. So my concerns are, will the current license at 705 be surrendered as a condition of your marijuana facility? And will access to 731, the building beside it, continue through 705 to the rear of the building where the tow lot is? And will there be any other use at 705 beyond the marijuana facility? Like the trucks that park there now, the tow trucks, the large roll-on dumpster trucks that are in there. If so, you'll be adding another business to the location that already has multiple businesses on a daily basis with more vehicles and more deliveries. One more thing is, after Friday night's diesel tank truck fire in 705 lot, not 615 as the police report states, that got residents evacuated, was the most terrifying situation I've ever experienced in my life. If it had exploded, my house would have been the first one to be taken out, and then maybe all of Wamasett Court. Some of the people outside on the street that night may have found that funny, but I didn't. For the first time in my life, I'm scared to death to live in that house. So I have no choice but to oppose, and if need be, appeal in a court of law. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak in opposition?
Donald Sterling, 8 Wamasett Court. I have a couple of questions. You state in some of your literature that you're going to hire a snowplow company, so that means the current landlord won't be playing Tonka truck down there, pushing snow out of the property onto a public way, like has been going on for the past 12 years.
You can speak to us, sir. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is that going to be
Ask the question, we'll ask them. So what they're indicating is that they will not be doing that, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to know if they were going to be pushing the snow out into the main street, like the current operator's doing down there.
Okay. Any other questions?
Who's going to enforce the rules of these licenses that are being issued to this person? Because right now, there's no one enforcing any licenses. There's businesses operating without a license down there.
For that to be approved, it has to be approved by the city and the state of Massachusetts.
Okay?
The state has higher control of that building than we do. They have to meet all the state standards that are much more stringent than what we have here.
Because currently, there's businesses operating there without licenses. We've reported it to the police, and it goes nowhere.
Well, if it's a licensing thing, I don't think it's the police department's function. It's usually the building department or somebody else. If someone has an invalid license and they're operating, you can refer to the building department. But for this project we don't answer the questions on what the present people are doing. We're just trying to address the questions that are coming in on the new site. So I imagine, Mr. Claremont, obviously for the snow, you're not going to be pushing it into the street? Okay? Okay, so it's going to be removed on the site. And there's places, because I was down there last Monday morning at 7:30. I was on the site, I was across the street, and I even walked down the street, met the owner, and asked me to bring him up to that site, and we looked at it, and I asked some of the questions. So I know on the site there, they do have places to put the snow temporarily until they move it off-site. Yeah. But the answer would be that they would not push it out to the street. Correct, counsel? Right. So, I mean, what they have for people who have licenses or not, I can't contribute to what they have licenses down there, but I tell you, they have more stringent control of what the state's going to go over that than we do. But if they violate any of the conditions that we impose, then we can pull back the site plan.
Because what we understand currently, that 680 Dutton, that parcel of land is to be used for storage for 705. That's the way things were explained to us before.
Do you know anything about that, Attorney Clement? Everything's going to be stored on site, right?
Yeah, as far as our business is concerned, everything is stored on site.
So you won't be taking anything across the street or?
No. Across the street?
Yep.
Come back in 2 weeks.
Across the street, 680, something's going on in 2 weeks?
What's the other development coming in, what number?
The 740 Dutton Street, which is down and across the street.
Yeah, it's
is
down
coming
a
back
little
for-
bit.
Yeah.
That's a separate marijuana
That's
cultivation.
a whole different project, yeah, for a future date, right?
It's
Yeah.
on for the 4th.
Yeah. So that's another one coming up, yeah.
Got a letter about that. We'll
Yeah,
probably be-
yeah, so that one's coming in the future, because when I was down there, I wasn't sure which was which, so then I saw the site plans advertised on both buildings.
Well,
So I
we're
was looking back
talking
and forth.
about the lot 680, which is directly across the street
You
from.
said you've been down there, you know.
Yeah, I've been there.
I'm
I
not-
spoke with the guy who owns it, yeah. I was all there. I was here from 7:30 to 8, and then I was on Fletcher Street from 8 to 8:30. Yeah.
But you, like I said, you've been down there. My house, the little white
Yep,
house,
the one to the right, yep, I know exactly what it is, yep.
directly across the street.
Yep.
Is the lot with the dumpsters.
Yep.
And a dump truck and
Mhm.
everything else parked in there. That piece of land came with 705.
Yeah, but as of now, they're just proposing to do this on 705, so I don't know what's going on over there. But what they're doing is they're not using any across the street, they're keeping it all on this site.
Well, we've been complaining about the ongoing license violations in the neighborhood, and I'm gonna say I'm opposing this as well.
Okay, thank you.
But I mean, is 705 still gonna store dumpster trucks in there, or are they going across the street from me now?
I don't know, but the dumpster, no, this will just be this project itself. So what happens is, the people who have those trucks now, they can put them somewhere else, because as far as they're concerned, it's just gonna be for their site. So obviously, they have to have an agreement with the owner, what to put on site, and obviously, they're not putting their trucks, they didn't have permission to put their trucks on your site. Is that correct? Right.
So you're leasing the whole parking lot, or just the building?
We're leasing the building and 15 spaces.
Yeah.
Actually, Mr. Gazdanjian does plan on parking some cars along where he parks right now, the edge of the
Right beside
fence.
my
Yeah,
house.
yeah, he still plans on parking a couple, I think he said 2 or 3 trucks around that fence. That's what he told us.
Well, that's up to you folks.
Well, we're renting the property off of
Right, I know, but so you have control of the property.
So how is it gonna be secure if his guys are coming
Is there
in?
gonna be a fence from the, yeah, you can show where the fence is gonna go?
Yeah.
So the fence,
The fence will be located along here, and there's another fence that's providing a separation from the street and the parking lot. So there's a secure, I mean, the state requires a lot of security with this facility. So that fence has to be integral. It has to be completely across that front part of the property, and then it's going up the side of the building as well.
So you're still gonna have tow trucks coming in and out of there, people looking for their cars that are being towed?
Not that I know of. Our facility, it has nothing to do with the tow business. Now, we're renting from this individual that you're having the problem with. You haven't had a problem with my client.
No, you're not in there yet, so.
Right.
You know, but it seems to me like you're adding this business now on top of the pre-existing ones that are already there.
We're taking the entire building.
The other business will be gone. You can't have both businesses in the same site.
If I could add, Mr. Kazanjian has, it's in our lease agreement that he would not use the parking lot for towing operations during the evening time.
Yeah, because then if he starts putting the towing operation in, your whole parking plan is completely different. Correct? Yeah.
He goes, how it works now is he goes around the back.
Yep, I know how it goes. I watched the whole thing, yep. But I'm saying, if you're putting storage trucks on your property, then that changes your parking plan. Right?
Our parking would be right next to the building. He planned on going towards where
He is now.
Yeah.
All the big trucks on the right, I get it.
So he's still gonna come in with the tow trucks and go around the back of the building?
Is he?
When
How many, is he? I don't know.
he hasn't said nothing to you, like he can access the other side of the building?
the way he put it to us is he will not use it during the evening hours. Occasionally, he'll have to drop a car or two during the daytime, but it's in the lease that he will not use the parking lot for towing operations during the evening, so.
Daytime, nighttime, it doesn't matter. If we got people looking for their cars, it's gonna be disrupting our quality of life, his business, create more problems on that street already. Don't forget, Mr. Kazanjian tore all the sidewalks up over there. There's no place for anybody to even walk.
Plus, the house behind me that is attached to me, they have a special variance to park in there too, along the fence. So if he's having all his trucks parked along the fence, where is the tenant behind me gonna park in there too?
I don't know, that's something you have to deal with Mr. Kazanjian, I guess. I mean, I don't know what arrangements he has with them, but I don't see how it's not on 705, is it?
Seems like the parking lot's not big enough for everything that's gonna be in there still.
Okay. Anything else?
Again, when we came in before for this property, we've been lied to in the past about it, and it seems like no one's on the right page here, or the same page.
So, I don't know when you referred about coming in before. So you've come in before us on the planning board on this project before?
No, we've come in before for meetings about the property, number 705 Dutton Street,
Okay.
and have been lied to in the past
Okay.
about what's gonna go on there.
I mean, I was told it was gonna be scrapping. I haven't seen any scrapping
were
going
told-
on in there since he got.
So what we're focusing on is this plan here, okay? What you've been told in the past, I have no idea. There's nothing that we can control here. We're looking at this plan. This is what they're showing us.
Well, again, when we were invited to Cobblestones, they told us that all the towing was going away, all the dumpster trucks would be going away, all of it's going away, and now here we are, and you're saying it's not going away.
I didn't say that.
He did.
Okay, but don't say we said it. Make sure you know who you're saying, who said who said. All right?
I talked to you outside of my house, and you said all this is gonna disappear. You made it sound wonderful, but obviously not.
Okay. So we'll back up, and anything else you want to add before we ask them a couple more questions? Okay.
That's it, I guess.
Again, like I said, we've been lied to in the past, seems like we're
I
being
heard
lied
you
to
4
again.
times. You've been lied to in the
Thank
past.
you.
Get over it, okay? We're here on this plan. Okay? What do you want me to do? Build your sidewalks up? I can't. All right? Okay. So let me ask the owner. Back up. What else is being parked on that lot? Let's straighten this out right now so everybody knows where we're standing.
Well, when we first, we caught the parking lot, when we first discussed leasing the building, we figured the parking lot went with it. You know, that was just, then when we further discussions with Alan, he said that his is only access to his back lot, and he couldn't figure another way how he could get back there. So we agreed that he would put a fence that's gonna separate the parking lot from our building. So we're gonna have that separation between our building and parking lot, but he could still use the parking lot when he needed to access behind the building. And if he needed to park a car during, where he parks right now, he would, that nothing would change, basically.
So with all those, the big tractor trailer trucks that are all up there now, lining the whole right-hand side down, are they gonna be there or not?
I think so, yes.
You don't know. So
He said he was gonna park
So
two.
now you're saying it's a car, and now you're saying it's all the tractor trucks. So which is it?
What do you?
If you go there now, you know the site.
Yes.
You look to the right of the property line.
Yeah.
Here's all the big tractor trailers lined up
Yeah.
next to the fence. Are they staying or going?
Staying.
That's because there's not enough room on the street. for
Ma'am,
him.
ma'am, I'm talking to him. Please, don't interrupt, please. Everybody gets a chance, okay? All right? And what else is staying? So how many tractor trailer, so before you said there was gonna be one car in the back, and now you're telling me all the tractor trailer trucks are staying.
I don't follow one car in the back.
You said, Mr. Kazarian said, at time to time, he might take one car, pull it in, and let
he
it sit there.
might, yeah, he
So
said
you
he
told
might,
us
he
one
might,
car.
he might have to use it for towing, is what I meant.
So for this site now, so you're gonna use it for towing, you're also gonna leave the big tractor trailers on the site as well?
I'm not doing anything. It's just,
No, I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm trying to ask you. You're coming in with the plan, you're saying this is what you're gonna do. So are you allowing all that to stay on the plan or not? I don't know.
I talked to Alan, and he seems to think that he needs to park a few of his trucks there still. I mean, if it's going to be a deal breaker with the board, I can go back to him and see if there's alternatives where he doesn't have to park there. But we thought that a fence separating the parking lot and the building would be sufficient. Whereas, we're renting the building, and he's,
So what property does Mr. Gazanjian have in the back that he has to get to? Can you point that out? Yeah.
Jay, sorry to interrupt. Can you please use a microphone? Thank you.
So there's a fence from the back of the corner of the property to the back property line, and that has a 30-foot gate in it, and there are cars parked back in this area here. There's a snow storage area. There's a lot of 62 feet wide by about 60 or 70 feet deep. That's an area that he's using now. I don't know what he's allowed to do in the lease, but that could be area that he could be thinking that he's going to continue to use. I don't know. We need this entire strip of space here for our 15 parking spaces. So it's my understanding that we're parking and controlling this lot. If there's parking that happens incidentally along the fence here from time to time, I don't know. That's not what we're applying for.
So what's the other long configuration piece to the left of the fence?
This
Nope,
here?
Nope, keep going. Right, down, down, right, to your right.
This fence?
Nope, right. Keep going, excuse me. Go to the end of the lot line. Sir, stop, please. Go to the end of your lot line.
Okay, here?
Yep, now go up. Now come towards you. Stop.
That's the scale.
Okay.
That's a scale.
Okay, so as of now, that's the what again? I'm sorry?
This scale?
Yeah? So what is it?
It's a truck scale.
Okay, so that stays there?
I don't know. It's not. I've developed the building plans.
Okay. All right.
I can't speak to the scale.
All right. So then to the right of that is where the fence is, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The fence is here, and we were proposing a 5-foot drainage It's not a swale necessarily, it's called a stone trench. It looks like a swale to me, but we've proposed that for drainage purposes, for stormwater purposes.
Thank you.
So where the trench is where they want to still park the trucks? Where you want to put the trench?
I
mean,
don't,
now the trucks are going to go another 5 feet into the entrance with your swale trench.
yeah, I can't speak to, I mean, it's speculation. If that's what somebody else wants to do, it's not in our plan.
I mean, that scale hasn't been in use in over a year.
Well,
There hasn't been no scrapping going on there. And that's why I had asked if he was going to surrender the license, the scrapping license there.
Yeah, that we wouldn't know. No, don't know.
But how do you have 2 licenses at the same address? If there's a scrapping license at 705, now they're putting in a grow house at 705. How is the state allowing that?
I mean, the
2 licenses at the same address, you
The
know, that don't
current
make
license
sense.
is being violated with the police tow contract down there.
I mean, I was told at the beginning that it was the scrap company going in. And it turned into 5 other different businesses in there.
Could I point something else out while we're talking about this? Because it just occurred to me, our deliveries are affected by this back fence and this back lot. We can't get in and out of this garage door bay here without going through here. We need control of this part of the site.
Okay.
And that's going to happen, you know, probably several times a day, whether it's coming in or going out. We're operating through this space. And as I said before, we're also requiring this parking here. So I think it would be very difficult for Mr. Kasanjian to do much of any parking on this site while we're using it. But I can't speak to the lease. I don't know what agreements
Plus,
have
you
been
need
made
room
with
for
him.
all your employees and your delivery trucks coming in.
Right.
I think there needs to be
I've been
some
there for
restrictions
years,
put
and
on
I
this
don't see
with
enough
Mr.
room.
Kazanjian's use of the property. You know, if the marijuana facility is going to go through, we're all for that, but there shouldn't be any use by Kazanjian whatsoever. And that goes right down to cleaning up the snow, because that's one of the biggest problems Mr. Kazanjian has caused down there for the last 22 years I've lived there, playing Tonka truck on a public street with heavy loaders, because his guys got to suck them for an extra couple of bucks.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to the board members. Any board members have any questions?
I have one.
Sure, Mr. Lockhart?
Could you expand on your solid waste and recycling program in terms of just pointing things out on the plan? And answer this memo dated October 18th.
Excuse me.
Whoever this is doesn't give a name. The plan looks great and I have no issues with it. I would, however, want to know how many of each container they will have, waste, recycle, and organics, the product.
We're showing,
Step us through your whole.
certainly. Let me pull up the plan. And I'm afraid this plan is probably a little too small to see from your seat. But we have a recycling and waste facility here. There's going to be a compactor right in this area here, which is part of that garage structure that you can see. Yep. So that would be coming out and going to the containers over here at the back of the site. Now we also have a door here, and we have a man door here, so we can probably more easily walk from the man door. I don't know that there'd be a need to roll a cart. I don't know exactly what facility is going to be. We're still in design development, so I'm not sure whether there'll be carts with wheels or barrels that have wheels.
Can't answer that question.
Only to say that we've located dumpsters here, and, you know, would that change. It might be better informed by more research on what products get used and perhaps change.
I can answer that question.
Okay, go ahead.
So there'll be a recycling dumpster, there'll be a waste dumpster, and then there'll be marijuana waste disposal. We won't need a whole dumpster for it because we're gonna compost most of our waste, but the waste we can't compost, we destroy, we grind it up and mix it with about 50% dirt, 50% grinded up waste, make it unusable, then put it in a locked container to be shipped out when into a licensed facility. So we won't need a whole dumpster for it, but it would be in the same area as the 2 dumpsters listed on the site plan, but it would be a lot smaller, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. It seems that you do need access, as you pointed out, continuously out in the back there. I think you have to answer that question about the Mr. Kazandrian and his use of that spot before you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have,
All right, thank you. Mr. Fischett?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, regarding the facility itself and the licensing and the odor mitigation plan that's been presented, the waste disposal, recycling policies, procedures, and also the narrative on the site plan, I think answers the questions regarding the facility and to the abutters as well. Just understanding the licensing and the oversight on this is tremendous, because again, it comes, as the chairman said, from the state level as well as the local level. So not only are there approvals in place locally, but there are certain state requirements that will actually govern really the requirements of this facility. I guess what was raised here this evening, though, and I guess I do have some question regarding control of the site as far as the tenant and what that will look like. I mean, we had another one with a similar tough configuration on a parking lot. I'm more confused at this point as to, and then in your presentation said you'll need access to the rear as well. Honestly, in the context of site plan, I'm not quite sure then where we stand with all of that right now. And then obviously with the drainage you're proposing, really looking at this in a whole new light, what is being, proposed there? Is that going to be used for parking? Is that going to have an effect? I certainly, I think would want to have that clarified a little bit more as far as the, in some instances, we would require, no parking on a particular area. So I think I want to have some expansion on that. Again, I thought the presentation was very clear and concise regarding the facility, and I have no issue with that. And noting that there is additional oversight regarding licensing and regarding requirements that will be imposed upon this operation. But I would want to have some clarification regarding the use of that site with all tenants. I'm not prepared to make a vote this evening, not quite sure what the impact is going to be based on what the intent of the landowner is at the moment. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Fischett.
Sure. Could I speak to that?
In a second? Go ahead, Mr. Lockhart.
Yeah, I'll just follow up on what Mr. Fischett pointed out. So that scale is that you pointed out, if you're going to continue to park trucks there, that could impact your parking and your ability to turn around and move vehicles in and out. Just to the left of that, up against the fence. You really need to define those things, and as he stated, get control of your site and indicate it on a plan.
And to that point, Mr. Lockhart, I really would want to have the city's transportation engineer look at then that site, how it all relates, which we've had input in the past. And I don't think that was taken into consideration when we were looking at this. So I think we would want to have a clear understanding of the use of any vehicles on the site, and then have the city's traffic engineer review that as well for comment. Thank you.
Caleb?
So,
Nope. Acton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was always wondering why there is an 8-foot fence within the fence, and I found it like a little awkward because of the other marijuana projects. Like they don't need a fence within a fence, and I think that also affects kind of the aesthetics and also feel of neighborhood too. You know, it seems number one is the marijuana business being stand out. You know, it's high security area that you need 2 fences, so I wouldn't be, you know, I would prefer not have 2 fences, but I understand because of your arrangement with the landlords currently that why that is the case. I have no position on that yet until things clarified. So that's a comment. And secondly, I also want to ask the staff is that we're doing a site plan review here. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in that case, if the main use is marijuana is the project, but if there's auxiliary use within the same site, do we have to consider those?
Yes.
So by extension, they are not the only party that are vested in this plan. Basically, the landlord uses for whatever else will also be accommodated in the narratives and also the site plan submitted to us.
Yes, it is not uncommon for multiple uses to be on a site. We see, I'll just use commercial condos as an example, but it is under the purview of this board to understand everything that is happening on the site. So while you may not have a say on whether or not they can have 1 or 2 or 3 businesses, you do have some sort of say because they're in front of you for site plan review about how it all operates together, or at least you should be presented with that information.
So my comment is like I agree with Bob is that the narrative on the marijuana business is clear, and all the mitigation plan, all else like. I see no major issues we might discuss further, but then the site plan is what I think we need to clarify, have some clarification. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add something?
In a minute? Yes.
So when he said parking trucks, that's going to be not when business is in operation. That's like after hours when, you know, we're closed and he needs to put, you know, if he needs to park a truck there. And that's, you know, the stormwater is not going to be a trench. He's just removing impervious pavement and putting stone in there. So you can drive over that still. It's not going to be, you know, undrivable. It's just, you know, it helps the stormwater, you know, seep into the ground easier. I mean, you've seen the parking lot is rather large, so having you know, us parking, you know, I look at it more as because we're fencing the property off, we're renting the building, and he's just supplying us parking. It's his parking lot. I mean, if our building is secure, I'm not really sure how, like, you know, and we get our proper amount of parking, and, you know, I'm not really, you know, seeing you know, how it's a dual usage, you know, if we're just using.
So we have a right to know what else will be on the site.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that's the question.
Okay.
So, as indicated to us, you need to go through his parking lot in the back, which we don't know you'll have access to.
His parking lot?
Yeah.
No, that's our parking lot.
Oh, no, I was just told a little while ago, Mr. Gazandi was gonna put his cars there.
The sight line right there, that's our whole lot.
Left side of the plan.
Yep.
You come out the door.
Yep.
Down further, down, stop.
That's ours, that's still a site plan.
Okay.
Site line.
Show me how you get your access. Right there on, stop, back up a little bit, right there. Nope, a little further back, right there.
If I go,
Right there. Yep. So what's right there? Where the red dot is? Okay, stop right there where your finger is. Okay, so start where your finger is, show me, no, down below. No, back where you were, come down, right there, start there. So you're saying you have to come out there.
That's for our deliveries, that's a garage.
Yep, you're gonna come out there and go there, stop there. So you're telling us from time to time there's gonna be Mr. Gazanian gonna park cars there?
No, not here, no, over here.
Oh, I thought you said they were gonna park them there. Okay, I thought the impression that we heard from this gentleman was that the cars were on that lot. Oh. Okay, so how, does he get to that lot by going through your lot? So he's gonna go, right through your area, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, so where's he gonna drive in? He's gonna do where? So what's he gonna be, 2 fences there, he's gonna be in between one of the fences?
Well, there's a gate on both sides.
Yep, I'm familiar with that, yeah.
And, so, I mean, so he'll just stay out along this path, like going over the scale, and then he'll turn you right here. And do that. And I've been in that property a number of times, and I've yet to see him take a car right there and there during the daytime.
All right. Yeah.
Like I said, at nighttime, during the evening time, he's agreed to
Mhm.
at least that he will not use the
Okay.
lot for any towing.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Caleb here.
Yeah, Caleb, I'm sorry.
I want to point to this big picture and see the whole picture is that I see there's other ways into the lot, but then it's piled up by cars. I don't know where his property is, where's it,
Could I iterate on that?
Nope.
So I don't know if they have the answer, but you clearly see there's another way to the back lot too.
So this is that line.
Speak to the microphone, please.
Sorry. This is that line. Here's our garage, here's our delivery path, and here's the line between where we're talking about the cars and our space that we use. So we use this drive, and we get into here, or we go out to here to our recycling and waste, and then this would be the other property that we're talking about.
Come in from right here, drive along this edge, come around back, drop his cars there, and then drive away.
Right.
I'm out of chord here.
Any other board members have any further questions as a discussion proceeded? No? Okay. What's the request of the board?
Mr. Chairman, if the applicant can get clarification as to the use of that, the multiple use of that site and the potential impact with the various uses, and incorporate that into the site plan and narrative so that the city's transportation engineer can look at that and see how we can have all of that going on the site and how it would best work. Right now, we just don't know what the impact would be, this operation would have on the existing operation and what the existing operation would have on this particular operation. And this is not a new situation. We had a similar grow facility off of Plain Street, and it was an industrial site that has multiple uses, and there was some real issues with access and getting around the building and the parking as it relates to the rest of the units and how people would access it. So in many ways, it's very similar to what we were dealing with before, and there was also some utility easements involved in that particular case. But Christine, did you have a comment?
Yeah, if the board is gonna request additional information, staff would just like to note that we want the swept path analysis to include the other side of the building as well.
Sure, yeah. No, that would be appropriate. Sure, yeah.
And if they anticipate having large trucks parked, it would be helpful to have those shown next to the swept path. I would just note the narrative didn't mention this particular situation, so we just weren't aware of it.
Right, no, I understood. I don't think we were aware of it as a board either as well. So, and then even with the, you know, I'm not an expert, but the drainage and the compressed stone, if you start parking on that and you start compressing that stone, I'm not necessarily sure that drainage is going to work the way it's supposed to. So, I think that has to be looked at. So, if the applicant could address those issues, I'd be willing to continue the matter, Mr. Chairman. I really, you know, we've got a full boat on November 4th, or I don't know, would the applicant be acceptable on November 18th? Is that...
Yeah, Mr. Frechette, I think that's appropriate, given that we've got to get some commitments from Mr. Kazanjian as to what's going to happen as far as the trucks are concerned. I mean, he's committed to us for our site, for our parking. Obviously, he can't interfere with our business, but I understand the concerns of the board with the trucks, number one, and the access to his back lot. We want to make sure that doesn't impact our site, and so I think the 4 weeks is probably appropriate to get that information.
Sure, okay. So if not, if that's fine, I would look to make a motion to continue the matter until November 18th with the applicant addressing the concerns raised here this evening and expanding the sweep path analysis as well.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. So the matter will be continued to November 18th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much. And Mr. Clement, while we have you, we have one other matter for you, if you don't mind. Going along in the agenda, we have, under old business, we have 555 Merrimack Street. This was a matter that was from Coalition for Better Acre. Sought a plan review and a special permit at the approval of 55 Merrimack Street. The proposed development includes the demolition of existing structure and construction of 4 new story mixed buildings. The project included 1,700 square feet, retail space and ground floor, and total of 28 residential uses, improvements to the associated parking area, required a site plan, and it was voted on, and the planning board approved the project. Mr. Fischette made the motion, Mr. Lockhart seconded it. I've been informed that you looking for an additional time to ask for more time to go further with the plan. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chairman. This was a matter that was brought to the board back in the day by our good friend, Attorney Flood. And he received, decision December 4th of 2017, approval for a site plan and special permit, demolition of the existing structure and construction of a new 4-story mixed-use building. The project's been stalled out at this point because the CBA, which is the owner of the property, has been able to get the financing pushed through. So they contacted me to see if I would bring it before the board to see if we get an extension of the special permit and the site plan so that they can seek the funding down the road.
Any board members have any questions? If not, I'll make a motion to approve for the extension period.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion's carried.
I thank you very much, and I thank you for squeezing this onto your busy agenda tonight.
No problem. Thank you, Council. Good seeing you again.
Thank you.
Take care. Moving along on the agenda, Christine, could you introduce our new member to the board, please?
Yes, I'm very happy to announce our new assistant planner, Fran Sigliano.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So if you have any questions, feel free. Sometimes we don't always go this late. Sometimes we go a lot later. Sometimes about a little quicker. So,
Yep, excited to be here.
well, thank you. We wish you well. Look forward to working with you. Welcome aboard. Moving along on the agenda, does any of the board members or staff have any common updates?
Just our last historic board meeting, we had a hearing once for an historic permit to be issued at 160 Middlesex Street, which I believe is coming up to us
Oh, yeah, next meeting, I think.
on the 4th, and we issued that with some minor conditions, which included being able to show bike racks in and out of the building, and the lettering on the side of the building, make it a little more tasteful.
Okay.
But it did, we issued the permit.
Okay, thank you.
Our next meeting is November 12th.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, board members? No? If not, we can make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is made by Mr. Fischett, second by Mr. Lockhart. All in favor?
Aye.
We have adjourned. Good night. Thank you, everyone.